Well, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed a new executive order that encourages the hiring of American workers and to buy more American-made products. The Buy American, Hire American policy could have a chilling effect on Canadian exports. And for more on this, I'm joined now by financial expert Preet Banerjee. Preet, nice to see you.
Good morning.
All right, the biggest concern for us here in Canada when it comes to this new Buy America First executive order from Trump, what would that be?
Well, it's the Buy American part of that executive order that would impact us, because essentially what he is saying, for any federal contract, the procurement procedure would change such that you'd have to have more American content in infrastructure projects. So that would mean that they would buy American goods and services as opposed to anywhere else in the world, which would impact Canada.
Sure. How worried should our dairy industry be that they were actually called out by the president yesterday?
Right. So he made this announcement when he was in Wisconsin, which is the cheese state. So there's a lot of dairy farmers there, and they had been complaining about, 75 farms there had lost a major contract. And so they were supplying ultra-filtered milk to Canadians. And there's a change in Ontario, which said that now Ontario can now purchase this milk at global prices instead of Canadian prices, which is interesting because of the supply management issue in Canada. So they can now buy from Canadian producers, so they don't need to buy from these U.S. dairy farmers. And so the dairy farmers are upset about that, and Trump has said, well, I've got your back.
Yeah, let's dive a little deeper into that for a second, because I know Conservative leadership candidate Maxime Bernier, he has said that supply management doesn't work when it comes to agriculture, and he once labeled it a government cartel that is the exact opposite of a free market. So is he right about that? And to your point about Canadian prices when it comes to dairy, could this be good news for Canadian customers who are always complaining about the price of milk?
Yeah, it could be, because there's been a lot of critics when it comes to supply management. There's very few proponents. Most of those proponents are the dairy farmers in Canada themselves. And so this has now become an issue in the Conservative leadership debate, but this could be what they need to get it sort of over that hurdle and finally get people to say, yeah, maybe we need to do something about supply management. So it's very interesting, the timing, because it's giving fuel for the people who are proponents of dismantling supply management, or at least tweaking it heavily.
Okay, let's switch gears here briefly and turn to housing, because there was a big meeting of the minds in Toronto where, of course, housing prices have exploded between all three levels of government yesterday. Should government intervene when it comes to high housing prices, and if so, what kind of tools do they have available?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. The problem right now is that housing has become so important to the economy over the last 10 years that if you do anything to destabilize that, you run a pretty high risk of causing some kind of downturn. Could be a very nasty recession if you tinker with it too much at the wrong time. So a lot of people have said, listen, whatever tools you do have at your disposal, maybe you want to put them in place after this has run its course. The problem is a lot of people have thought, the market solution should have happened by now, where prices are so high, people should have said, listen, that's it, I'm no longer buying. But that hasn't happened. So they're caught between a rock and a hard place as to what to do and when to do it.
All right, be very interesting to watch moving forward. Preet Banerjee, our money guy, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.